Welcome to the gift of your authentic voice. In this module, we are now moving on to taking a deeper look at our expression and how it shows up in a practical way by looking at the building blocks of creation in terms of the elements. We will systematically go realm by realm and learn solid strategies to purify and uplevel our default expression that may not be aligned to our highest path, and we will craft a chosen path of expression. The elements of nature, which are earth, water, air, and fire, along with spirit or consciousness that flows through everything, can be considered the building blocks of creation. In nature, these elements form how nature creates, and they are animated or given life by spirit. These fundamental forces in creation are also reflected in our own consciousness, in our own lives, and function to help us create our lives in the same way that nature creates externally. So let's see how it does that. We'll start with air. Air represents the mental realm. In nature, air is represented by the invisible, the wind, the air we breathe, and the visible sometimes, the creatures that fly or utilize air to fly. The winged ones, the birds, insects, the clouds, gusts of wind, and sounds that emerge from us or in nature. When we speak, we are utilizing air to create vibration, and that is how sound is formed. Air is invisible, but it has a big impact on how we feel or the vibration that is created. If we have a steady stream of fresh air moving, it can be refreshing and inspiring and uplifting. However, if the air moves too fast, like in a storm, it can be unsettling. Or if it is stagnant and still, we can feel down and uninspired. That is, we may not feel like breathing in the air. In our body, the element of air is represented by the air that we breathe into our lungs, the oxygen that it provides for the blood, and the ability to think and speak. Air represents the mental realm, the unseen, that which is invisible. We cannot see the air, but we can totally feel the effects of air. Now let's apply this to the mental realm or the realm of our thoughts, beliefs, perception, and the framework through which we see life, and how we communicate, speak, use language to express our point of view, sing, etc. In other words, it represents how we take in information, how we cognize, and how we express. So, air and all that it represents has a big impact on our expression. If our thoughts are uplifting, if our perception is positive, it's likely that what we express will be uplifting. However, if our thoughts are negative, if we are viewing life through an unsupportive framework, then that will impact or have effect on our expression and it will be flavored by it. So thoughts, beliefs, frameworks, etc. are invisible too, but their impact is felt on how we express and how we communicate, how we speak, or whether we choose to express our authenticity or not. Now let's take a look at the element of water. Water in nature is represented by the streams, rivers, lakes, ocean, and the rain. And in our body, it's represented by blood and the fluids in the different parts of our body. Water represents the emotional realm, the realm of our emotions and our feelings. Our emotions are the responses to events and triggers. Our feelings are our deeper information coming from a more authentic part of us. Water in nature can take on different forms, like a calm lake, a gently flowing river, or a gushing waterfall, an ice storm. It can be cold or it can be hot. Similarly, our emotions take on different forms. We may feel calm and steady, or our emotions may be more energetic, like anger, or they may run the other way, where they may be depressed or sad. Even though water in a lake may look calm on the surface, underneath it, it may have a strong current of energy flowing. Similarly, our emotional state may look calm on the surface or on the outside, but deep inside, we may have intense emotions flowing, and we may be aware of them or we may not be aware of them. Water or the learnings with water seek to bring awareness to our default emotional state. Is it generally happy, or is there more going on inside? Why the emotions are important is because they act as fuel for our actions. The more enthusiastic and passionate we feel, the more energy our actions have and the stronger the outcome. If we are feeling the effects of the wound around our expression, then our actions are also impacted by that emotional state. This in turn impacts our expression a great deal. Think of murky emotions or the wound impacting emotions as water that has debris. In a lake, if there is debris in the water, then the light of the sun falling on it cannot illuminate what's at the bottom. However, if the water is clear, then we can see all the way through. Our emotions are similar. If our emotional state or our inner water is clouded by murky emotions like grief, anger, judgment, inner critic, resentment, and so on, then these emotions cloud our intuition, our truth, our authenticity. And then when we express from that place, our true light does not shine through. However, if we are clear within, if the emotional baggage is minimum, then there is more space within for positive emotions to flow through, for what truly brings us joy, for our wisdom and truth to flow through. It's not clouded by murkiness, and that comes through in our expression. Now let's take a look at the element of fire, which represents the action realm. In nature, fire shows up in the warmth, light, and heat of the sun, of a fire, of a candle or flame, of the light and radiance given off by these things, and of the heat in different kinds of foods. Fire can give heat and light and nurture in a way, but it can also destroy if it is out of control. In our body, the fire is represented by the digestive fire and the capacity to move and take action. It's also represented by the passion and enthusiasm we feel for our life. How well we are able to use our inner fire will show up in our expression and in the way we are able to move towards the vision for our life. Are we burnt out with too much movement in the wrong direction? Are we able to sustain our actions and move towards our desired expression? These are the things that fire teaches us. Now let's take a look at the earth. The element of earth represents the physical realm, the stuff that is tangible and that we can grab a hold of. In nature, it shows up in the form of plants, trees, mountains, animals, birds. And in our body, it is represented by the structure of our body and also externally in the form of the physical things that surround us, like our home. With respect to expression, earth shows up in the tangible way that our expression comes forth. Is it through a career, through something that you make with your own hands, through what you create? Here, your expression takes on a certain form. Even if it is not through your career, is it showing up in the way that you nurture your family or a volunteer project? Earth is a very visible energy. So your expression now is not just something in the invisible idea realm or thoughts or vision. It's not just in the feeling realm where there's a desire to express a certain way, but you have started to move from those into action and it results in something that has physical form, like a career, a project, an article that you write, and the way you are with those in your life. So your expression now comes out into the outer world of form. And let's talk about spirit. Finally, while the four elements are a key component of creation in nature, without the consciousness of spirit flowing through them that holds them together and unifies them, it can be quite inanimate. Spirit in nature refers to the consciousness that is in every living thing, the interconnectedness of all of life. In our body, it is represented by the deep connection we have to our own soul and the divine creator within. This shows up in our expression as what is deeply our innate gifts, what we were born to do, our deepest and truest essence, and what is meaningful and authentic and true to us. In other words, it's your authentic expression, your authentic voice. We could be expressing about many different things through the elements of air, water, earth, and fire. But if we are not expressing the true authentic spirit within us, the rest will feel meaningless, like it has no purpose. It will feel like it's not having the impact it could because it's not coming from that deep, true place within you. But when it does, and we are able to bring it forth, in other words, when we are able to express our authentic voice, then the satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment we feel is unparalleled. Now let's look at the interconnection between all these elements. Each of these elements has an impact on the others. Air has a way of informing water. That is, the mental realm impacts the emotional realm. When we think a certain way, it invokes a certain emotional response within us, which will then come through in our expression. A vibrant emotional state brightens the expression and gives it a stronger voice. If we feel calm and centered and authentic within, then that state comes through in our voice and expression. If our mind and emotions are working together, then they inform the actions that we take. That is a fire. They act as fuel for our actions, determine what quality our actions are, if they are aligned to support or are they sabotaging. This then directly results in what physical form our expression will take, which then feeds back into our mental and emotional state. And what happens even when our mind and emotions are aligned and you have an idea and positive feelings about it, but you don't take action on it due to fear? Or you take action, then you abort it because either the inner critic or the judge voice is very loud. That is a huge amount of life force that wants to flow to completion but then gets blocked or stifled, and that impacts our expression and finally the physical form it takes. Finally, do we have access to our inner spirit? And if not, that impacts each of the elements within us and that shows up in the physical expression, whether we feel aligned or not. So, all these elements work together to support our expression, and the purer they are, the purer our expression. Life force energy. Here we will look at how our expression is connected to our life force energy. I invite you to look at life force energy as your biggest personal resource that you employ to move your life forward, to move it towards your vision. We often think of time as one of our key resources. However, rather than time, I invite you to think in terms of your energy, your life force energy. And this refers to your mental, emotional states, how you take action, the kind of action you take, and how often. That means it refers to your thoughts, words, emotions, feelings, choices, the decisions you take, and the actions that you choose to take on a consistent basis. How you choose to use your life force energy determines the kind of expression you have and how your expression comes forth. And the question to ask yourself here is, are you using your life force energy consciously or unconsciously? We can get clues to this by observing our default mental and emotional state, by becoming aware of the default actions we take on a consistent basis. When our life force energy is used in the proper way, when it's coming from the highest intentions and essence, then our life and our expression will reflect that. However, if our life force energy use is distorted, then our creations, our expression, our experience will reflect that as well. The right use of your life force energy is very much linked to your authentic expression. I want to address burnout here. Many people experience burnout during their life, and that can show up for many different reasons. Let's take the case of where you actually feel like your authentic expression is coming through. You like what you do, your career feels aligned, but you may be tired, overwhelmed, looking to do things in a more simpler and efficient way. Your work energizes you, that means it amplifies your life force. But if not sustained, then that leads to burnout. And that will eventually affect our authentic expression. The other case of burnout may be when you feel misaligned in life, where your work does not reflect who you are right now. You may be changing internally and you may feel that your expression is changing. There's a deep desire to express authentically, but you don't know what that is. And when we don't express our true self, our life force energy diminishes, and over time that leads to burnout. So ask yourself which one of these situations do you find yourself in? So, what we are going to do in this module is start to take a closer look at the components that make up our life force energy. That is, we will start to take a look at how each of these different elements show up in our expression, and we will do two things. The first is to purify the element within us. That is, we will do a clearing at the mental, emotional, action, and physical levels. We will be looking at each of these four aspects and seeing where we need to clear the ways our expression is being diminished and start to uplevel the default expression. The second step is that we will co create with these elements. We will choose what we want each of these areas to express, and we will see how they can help us to translate a vision, an idea, or desire into physical, tangible form with conscious actions. So we'll take a look at the practical strategies to co-create with these elements, look at how they create in nature, and how we can use those strategies to create our expression. Thank you.